1000万 MLB 翻訳侍戦士チャンネルへようこそ。メジャーリーグ史上初の日本人として、イチローの殿堂入りが現実味を帯びてきました。3000本安打、262本の年間最多安打など、数々の記録を打ち立てた偉大な選手です。SABATHIAとともに、初回での殿堂入りが期待されています。1月21日、クーパーズタウンからの発表に、野球界の注目が集まっています。こちらのチャンネルでは日本人メジャーリーガーに関する情報を日本語翻訳してお送りします。お忘れのないよう、今のうちにチャンネル登録をよろしくお願いします。
The writer's ballot for the Baseball Hall of Fame coming out officially today, announced today.
Good play.
These are because we get very quickly into who's a Hall of Famer, who's not, and we drop guys off who are like, I don't know, a 47 WAR player. Maybe like, I looked up Curtis Granderson.
Good.
Like, again, 50 or 60 WAR, usually you're a Hall of Famer. He's 47 WAR. Like, how far away is he? Not that far. Last year I saw that with like Matt Holliday, Adrian Gonzalez. They were close. This year there's a bunch of guys that are close, but at the very top, obviously, is Ichiro at the top. And there was a debate at one point, will he be a United States National Baseball Hall of Famer? But he stuck around long enough to go over 3,000 hits, and now there's no doubt, even the 7 years in Japan, you don't have to even count them, he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
The first time I saw him, I went over the Diamondbacks to look at the Japanese players, and those two guys, him and Matsui, stuck out. They were leaps and bounds. Now that it's kind of changed, but he was bigger than Michael Jordan ever was in the States over there. It was unbelievable. I made a mistake of having him take a picture in a Diamondback uniform. Almost didn't make it out of the country. Big mistake.
Really?
But I remember when he first came over here, people were doubting him. So, oh, it won't play over here. It won't work over here. Well, guess what? They were wrong. What a splendid defensive player. Probably as good a base runner you ever see. Unbelievable body control and a great teammate. People talked about him and how funny he was. I remember he slid into third base one time and Hank Blaylock didn't think he spoke English in Texas. And he just said, "What's up, Hank? How you doing, my blankety blank blank?" And Hank said, he came in, he couldn't get a hit for the rest of the game because Ichiro was a funny guy.
You know, he played a different game, too. Look, 262 hits. That's at the height of the steroid era, the racquetball era, and he's hitting 350. He's running, he had a tremendous arm, so he was playing a very different game than the American baseball game at that time.
He had two arms. He had, okay, you're out, I'm gonna one-hop it in there. And then he had the one, hey, I gotta hurry a little bit. Reminded me of Jesse Barfield. But the other thing that he could do, in BP, he was like Wade Boggs. You used to talk about him in BP. This guy could hit.
He could hit home runs?
You put him in the home run hitting contest, he's probably gonna win it. If he wanted to do that, he could. It was like, what does the team need me to dial up? And there it is. As good a bunter as you'll ever see.
Now, 5 years ago, when he retired, I remember doing an essay on MLB Now, or Cooperstown Justice. We do that on the show all the time, on CC Sabathia. At the time, I made a real pitch, so to speak, for Sabathia, saying, wait a second, I know he doesn't have the traditional numbers. He's not where, you know, he could be what, you know, traditionally guys make the Hall of Fame, but this guy was a winner. His 2008 was heroic for the Brewers. World Series title 2009, he had a 1.98 ERA for the Yankees, drove them to a World Series championship. He ends up having 3,500 innings pitched. Buck, I thought I'd be making a real pitch for him and I'd be, you know, kind of, you know, swimming upstream. The way people talk and the way writers are talking about Sabathia, I really wonder how close or maybe over 75% he's going to get.
His body of work, you know, yes, he's in the Hall of Fame. His body of work.
So you vote, your vote, yes.
Yeah, I'm going to vote for him, comparatively speaking, because of the innings pitched, the strikeouts, the post up. And I love the fact that he reinvented himself. When the stuff started going down, he wasn't sitting there in 96, 97. You know, you'd face him, he'd come up with another pitch, a little softer breaking ball, a changeup, a little split. It seemed like every year or every 4 or 5 starts, he would reinvent himself and give you a different look. He was a tough guy to advance scout because one time he'd pitch you a certain way. The last 5 or 6 years of his career, which were still competitive, and he changed leagues. He pitched in both leagues and was continued to be successful. And there's another guy that was a good teammate and really liked to win. Brian, he liked winning.
Yeah, I would say will cause some voters as well to rethink what they're voting on with Andy Pettitte and Mark Buehrle, because they're actually all very similar now. Sabathia has a few more innings, but by the way, Pettitte was outstanding in the postseason as a postseason legend. Buehrle was very good in the postseason as well, won a World Series title, was extremely consistent. The other guy that I would say, again, out of King Felix, Dustin Pedroia, Adam Jones, Kinsler, Granderson, somebody should make a case for Dustin Pedroia. That's where I'm at. Now, again, next year, you'll have guys that are very, very close. Billy Wagner's at 73%. That's year 10 for him. Adam Jones, Carlos Beltran. But to me, I'm thinking, again, not into just metrics. Dustin Pedroia was a winner for me for 10 years, Buck.
I think of him like I do Mattingly. Mattingly had the injuries, but he made his teammates want to please him. Winning followed them around for a reason.
Yep.
And you wanted to please him, and he set the tone for all those great clubs there through the years. And that's got to matter. That's got to matter.
Correct. I'll be making a case for him as we move along. We'll have the official announcement, by the way, from Cooperstown, January 21st. Have the announcement of the writers' ballot live from the Baseball Hall of Fame. We just had the announcement for the Rookies of the Year. You saw it right here on MLB Network. Paul Skenes of the Pirates, Luis Gil of the Yankees winning the honors. First time two starters win Rookie of the Year since 1981. Now, I don't have a critique of the vote. I don't see it as right or wrong or not understanding value, but I do have my own thoughts on value and excellence. So we ask, who was the best rookie in the National League this year? It's a tough one. Let's do a little digging in. And we start with this. The two top position players were both fantastic this year and both quite similar. Jackson Merrill was a plus fielding center fielder, plus base runner. Jackson Chourio of Milwaukee was a plus fielding corner outfielder and plus base runner. I want to start with this, illustrate it, and move on. Merrill was plus 10 in the StatCast fielding metric, fielding run value. Chourio was plus 7. Chourio was plus 4 in base running runs, the base running metric. Merrill was plus 3.7. So it's about a dead heat, except that Merrill is playing center field, not left or right, and that does matter quite a bit. Now, to the hitting. About the same plate appearances. They both have about the same on base. The batting average is for Merrill, on base 326 to 327. Slugging, though, there is a difference here. Slugging 36 points higher for Jackson Merrill over Jackson Chourio. And the weighted runs created plus, all right? The slugging, as you see, 500 there. Tough hitters park, so the park-adjusted weighted runs created plus 130 for Jackson Merrill of the Padres, 117 for Chourio of Milwaukee. So it's reasonably close. Both are excellent, but the edge, clearly, hitting-wise, goes to Jackson Merrill. Now to the overall battle, and that's Merrill versus Paul Skenes. On my show, MLB Now, I actually made the argument a few months back that Skenes should be Rookie of the Year. He had a historic rookie campaign, a 1.96 ERA. That's a park-adjusted ERA plus of 214. 100 is league average. From the time he debuted, he had the best ERA in the National League. Not among rookies, among all pitchers. He was also second in strikeout rate among those with at least 130 innings. Skenes was also a dominant starting pitcher at a time when those are more scarce than ever before. But Skenes, through no fault of his own, pitched just 133 innings. He finished with a 5.9 baseball reference WAR, while Merrill had a 4.4 B WAR and a 5.3 in Fangraphs WAR, which uses his better StatCast metrics. WAR is an approximation. It's reasonably close. I'm not getting caught up in all of that. But after making that argument for Skenes, and actually as I was making it, I had a voice inside my head, and it was telling me that for the full season of 2024, if I had a choice between the season just had by Jackson Merrill or Paul Skenes, I'd rather have the season put in by Jackson Merrill. Jackson Merrill gave the Padres 148 starts in center field, nearly 600 plate appearances, and turned in a season of no worries for the Padres. No worries in the field, no worries on the bases. A huge second half where he slugged near 600 for a team in the pennant race. For the 6 months of the season, Merrill was more of a force day in, day out than Paul Skenes and his 23 starts. For the 6 months of the season, given a choice, I'd take the season by Jackson Merrill. So here's how the voting went. The writers saw it differently. 23 first-place votes for Skenes, 7 for Merrill. I get it. Chourio third. Shota Imanaga was fourth. By the way, Imanaga being fourth, that's a very strong rookie class. But I stand, Buck Showalter, by my conclusion.
I got to tell you something. You're going to be shocked. I agree with you.
It was bound to happen, Buck.
No, but you know, all three of these guys probably would have won in the other league.
Yeah.
But that's a
Maybe
story
four.
for another day.
Yeah.
But what a great race. All three of them very deserving. You're not knocking any of them. They're all special. I agree with you. Just the ability to play center field and to post up. But you made a good point. Skenes didn't ask to only throw 133 innings. He didn't ask to only be up there, two-thirds of the year. It wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
And nobody doubts that he probably would have continued to do it the whole season. What he was able to do defensively in center field and bring that club together in a playoff team.
Right.
And that's not Paul's fault either that he wasn't on a playoff team. But to do it underneath that pressure, it was one of those you can't take your eye off of. When you go to his ball game, when you go to that ball game, as many stars as they have there, as you said earlier, he's the guy that you look at. And because you know that's the glue that holds everything together.
It was eye-opening for me watching him in the postseason tournament just how excellent he was in all phases. So you tell me again, as a manager, as someone who's so detail-oriented, how do you rate a position player who's playing the full 6 months and a pitcher like that? What is, if all things are equal, what is more valuable in the real world?
You got to have them both, okay, to survive, and you got to be good at it. The guy that can post up, one of the first things I look at, Brian, when I'm looking at a player, whether we're thinking about acquiring him or a free agent or whatever, games played, games pitched.
Right.
You know, do they post up? Because all this stuff doesn't matter if you're not playing.
So that's Merrill's playing 156 games. So essentially every single day, right? Had a few days off, pinch hit a few, but he's playing all center field. He didn't go to the corner at all. He's also a shortstop who's playing center field. By the way, also the park hurts him. His numbers on the road were much better. His numbers in the second half were better, like Churio. But again, that's what I'm looking at. Whose season do I want? You saw him the way he ran even to second base on force outs, breaking up double plays. He can affect winning an awful lot.
Smart base runner, too.
Yeah.
Didn't run into outs.
Yeah.
I saw this kid play in high school a couple of games for Severna Park High School. I couldn't believe he fell as far as he did, but he wasn't as projectable as he is now. That's why a lot of guys, Bear Bryant years ago used to take quarterbacks and turn them into defensive backs. A lot of good scouting directors take the shortstops. Like, that's why I thought I would have taken Witt one of one, because if he doesn't play shortstop, look at all the places he can play. When you're putting a club together, this kid can play anywhere. If you got to play him at first, second. Now, can you survive without a really quality starter? Of course you can. So you got to fit all the pieces together. But the guy that can post up 156 games, that's why I was so strong about not voting for a DH for MVP.
Right.
Stop now.
No, we can talk about that later in the week, too,
exactly.
if you want to hang around a little bit. All right, what about American League? Where were you there? I think it's close. Again, I'm not adamant about either one. I thought Luis Heel, given the top three, made sense. What were your thoughts?
I agree. I think he had that type of year, and he posted up. You know, the guy, for the most part, with a couple of hiccups, was there the whole time. But it was this was not that they weren't good, but there wasn't a clear-cut one. You look at the position Austin Wells, you know, he impacts the game. Think about it. He takes 4 at-bats, but he makes, some nights, 150 decisions behind the plate, or suggestions, as some people put it. Cowser, I love the fact that he got off to a little rocky start and didn't give in. He kept, you know, he trusted his ability, and so did the Orioles. He got there. But I think they made the right decision here, not that they care what I think.
Yeah, I think it's a good debate, though.
メジャーリーグ殿堂入りの発表まで残すところあとわずかとなりました。数々の記録とともに野球界に新たな歴史が刻まれようとしています。クーパーズタウンから届く発表に世界中の野球ファンの期待が高まっています。ご視聴ありがとうございました。